Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home.
Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. Thanks for joining me. It is a great day to be alive, and again, I'm going to get pretty personal today. I had an experience that I want to share with you because I think it's so incredibly instructive. And hey, when I go through it, I might as well share it so somebody else can maybe either avoid going through it or know what to do when they're going through it. So if that's you, I'm glad you've tuned in. Before I get started with my topic, I want to just mention to you about jumping over to the Heal Your Hunger Tribe. It's a group on Facebook that's specifically for us, yes, us emotional eaters who want to overcome our destructive eating habits and crazy cravings and out of control eating and obsession and all the different machinations we go through to try to control our food and our weight. No need to do that anymore. Join a community of people who are looking to heal and making great strides in transforming their relationship with food. So Heal Your Hunger Tribe on Facebook. Just type in Heal Your Hunger Tribe and request to join the group. And if it seems like you're the right fit, join us. We'd love to have you be a part of the conversation. Also, if you're not sure if you're an emotional eater or not, guess what? I have a quiz that will tell you exactly where you are on the emotional eating spectrum, because let's face it, everybody's an emotional eater. I mean, please, God, I believe, made us to have some kind of connection with food that goes beyond physical. So we'd like to eat and we'd continue to eat. So find out where you are on that spectrum. Just go to healyourhunger.com and take the quiz. The quiz will tell you whether you're an emotional eater or on the high end of the spectrum, a food addict, and what you can do about it. So check out the quiz for sure. And thank you for joining me again. As I said, this topic, I think everybody can relate to, whether they're an emotional eater or not, right? Clearing negative self-talk inside your head. The reason why I'm talking about this today is literally just a few days ago, I had an experience where I traveled to Phoenix to be with one of my tribes, and that is health entrepreneurs, people who are really crushing it in the health arena and putting out great books, best-selling books and programs and supplements, and they're really doing amazing things to help people improve their health, impact their health in a positive way. So it's a super cool group to be a part of, and I feel so blessed to be a part of it. Just great networking, great relationships, beautiful, heart-centered, highly intelligent people. I really feel very privileged and blessed to be a part of this this amazing clan, if you will. And I will say that as it seems, each time I get together with these people, which is about 4 times a year in person, we have these amazing retreats that are fun and productive and mind-bending in terms of the information that's generated. But each time, right before I get with these people, I have an attack in my head, okay? My head gets super loud and noisy and just attacks me. And I'm sure you've had this experience. And this attack comes in the form of self-doubt, self-criticism, and self-hatred, frankly, like deep self-hatred. And it came at me harder than I think it ever has. And I think part of that is because I'm under some stress, in my life right now. I've just been, there's a lot of things going on personally for me, and I've been going through it really with quite a lot of ease and grace, but yet it's stress, and then on top of that, some business stress and just a lot to do, a lot on my plate. So all these things have compounded, and add to that, approaching a group of people who I feel incredibly humbled by. People's accomplishments are off the charts, in this group. And, what happens is I get insecure and I start comparing myself, and I start thinking, oh my God, I don't belong. These people are so much smarter than me. They're more accomplished than me. They've got it going on. They have so many more, accolades and letters by their name and all this kind of thing. And I start to get really down on myself, like completely down on myself. And I think compounded with the stress I've been under, it got dark, like darker than usual. Okay. So I really thought this is a good opportunity to talk about this because by the grace of God, and really only by the grace of God, I moved right through this and came out the other side. And I had a glorious weekend, an absolute glorious weekend, better than I could have imagined. I showed up in ways that I didn't even know I was capable of. And so I want to share what I did with you so you can have this experience when your head gets noisy and attacks you. So you ready for that? It's a great formula. So if you ever get attacked by your mind, if your mind gets really noisy, and if you do that comparing thing, comparing your insides with other people's outsides, we do it all the time, in more subtle ways. Whenever on Facebook, other people's lives look more exciting than ours, or other people's, relationships look juicier than ours, or other people's jobs are more glamorous than ours. So when you do that thing, where you're comparing yourself and you're starting to get really down on yourself, which everybody does, but I think emotional eaters do it in spades, okay? I think we have honed this craft of completely dogging ourselves for, our lack of accomplishment, even though we might have several degrees on our wall. Doesn't matter. Our heads can be really, really mean to us, right? So this is what happened to me, and here's what I did about it. I arrived at my hotel. I was going dark really fast. I'd already been here's the thing. I'd already been beating on myself before I went to this event, like thinking like, wow, I don't have enough ambition. I don't move fast enough in my business. I don't get enough done. I don't accomplish enough. I'm not making a big enough impact. It's just rant, 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 rant. That rant. I was already doing that. And then I got in an Uber with some other friends from this group. We met at the airport and actually it wasn't an Uber. A friend had rented a car and we drove with her. And I'm telling you, in the car, I was with these super high-achieving women, these amazing women. I admire them so much and love them so much. They're just beautiful people, but they are go-getters, okay, major go-getters, and they're out getting it. And boy, oh boy, compounded with what my head was already doing, I went dark so fast, comparing myself and feeling like, wow, I'm such a slouch. I'm never going to accomplish anything. And I just, I'm lazy. I'm just not with it. And what's wrong with me? And, the drill. It just went dark fast. And so I checked into my room and I was grappling with this. And so what I did, and what I know to do, okay, and this is the secret, is instead of suppressing it, instead of trying to give myself a pep talk, now Tricia, that's not true, blah, 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 I couldn't suppress this stuff. It was like a tidal wave coming at me with all the negative crap that my head had for me, okay? So it was digging stuff up. It was going way back. And so all the things I've done wrong. And so I got my computer and I opened up my typical Word document that I've already been writing on. Okay, key number one, keep a journal going. And I do it on my computer because I can type faster. Keep up with my thoughts, my crazy ranting, high-speed rant of thoughts. I can keep up with it better when I'm typing on the computer, but it doesn't matter. It could be your journal. But I pulled up that document, which is a continual. I use it continually to dump stuff, or to process emotions. It's just there handy. I open it up whenever I'm grappling with something. And I don't even write very much usually, but oh boy, that's a great outlet. So good for emotional eaters and emotional thinkers. So that's what I did, is I pulled that up and I went to town. I listed everything about myself that I hate. Okay. Now and I did not hold back. I wrote down everything about myself that I find objectionable, that I think is wrong with me. I just let her rip, and I was coming up with some crazy stuff. Mean stuff, and so much self-doubt, and all the ways that I was going to mess up my life, and all the ways that things weren't going to work out, and all the ways that I'd already messed up, and all the, how stupid I am, and what an ass I am. And I did not hold back. I let her rip, and it was mean. I mean, I would never in a million years say those things to somebody else. Never, ever, 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 no matter what they've done, I would never say those things to anybody. And yet that's what's inside of me. When I go dark, that's what comes up. And I know it happens for you too. I know it's in there. So as emotional eaters, we're deep feelers, we're deep thinkers, and we're dark, we're dark feelers and thinkers as well. So I dumped all that stuff, and I didn't even. Here's the thing: I didn't really pay attention to what I was writing. I just dumped it. I was just getting it out of my head and onto the computer, onto paper, if you will. And it was just this brain dump. And I didn't stop to read what I wrote, because if I had it, I would have been like, oh, oh my God, because I said some bad stuff, and I said some sort of projecting stuff about bad things that could happen in my life. Things that were inside of me. There were little worries that were festering, it's like the Norton antivirus in the back of our brains, it's like always there. It's running, this negative chatter, awfulizing what could happen, what bad things could happen. And so I just, I pulled all that stuff up and I dumped it on paper. And I did it until I didn't have anything else. And then I just relaxed. And then I meditated. Then I took it to the quiet and peace of God. I meditated. It was afternoon. It was time for me to meditate anyway. I meditated, and it would have been hard to meditate, frankly, if I hadn't dumped that stuff first. So I meditated, and then I got on the phone and I talked to Roy about the negativity in my head and told him, yeah, my head's been really loud, and these are the self-doubts and insecurities I have being in this group. So I talked about it, and then I prayed about it. I asked God to just heal my mind, just take away this burden of negativity and self-criticism, just release me from, the bondage of it. And what happened is, God hears our prayers, and that evening was wonderful. I didn't stay up too late. We had a party that evening, and I just, I took care of myself and I was so tired. I'd gotten up at 4 a.m, so I went to bed around 9. And that was great. And then the rest of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, during this retreat with these, 50 odd people, 50 plus people, not odd people, but we're all a little weird. But anyway, I had such an amazing time, so free, and people actually commented on how free I was, like how light I was and unburdened, and I'm telling you, I had so much fun. And we did this cool improv thing on Friday night. We had somebody come in and teach us improv. So much fun, by the way. That is one of the best things you can do for getting out of your head and getting out of your self-criticism, is just get all silly and crazy in an improv class. I hadn't done improv in ages. I mean, I've never really done improv, but I used to do a lot of acting as a kid. So we did some improv during that. But anyway, I was silly. I was silly and giggly and had fun, and things came out of me, and creative thoughts and ideas during the improv that I didn't even know I had inside of me. I thought that stuff was long gone, that real creative side of me, and yet there it was showing up. And the rest of the meeting, the days were so much fun, and I just connected with people, and I was filled with joy. And I have to tell you that in hindsight, and people were commenting, it's so amazing. It was so obvious, the lightness of being that I had, that in some ways I've never had. I mean, it's been progressive. I've been getting progressively more joyful as the years go on, and as the freedom, compounds, the freedom from food addiction. So anyway, it was great. And when I look back, I realize that experience I had on Thursday of writing about my negative thoughts, dumping them on paper, writing about them, talking about them, praying about them, was the key to my releasing them and being really open and receptive to God working through me. So that's what I want to talk about here with you, is employing this very simple formula of write about it, talk about it, pray about it. This is something Roy and I have used for years with clients, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's so simple. Most people miss it. I mean, it can't be that simple. It cannot be that simple. And yet, when you're working with spirit, when you're activating divine spirit in your life, anything is possible. And the most simple means are the most powerful means, okay? We don't have to overthink this. So I wrote about it. I dumped it on paper, if you will, computer paper. I dumped it and I talked about it and I prayed for God to relieve me of it, of that bondage of myself and my thoughts. And God can do anything. I have to do my prep work though. If I had just been all super negative and said, God, please release me from this, I don't think I would have gotten that release. Not that God can't do it, but it helps when I do my part, okay? It helps when I create space for God to move in and heal me. When I'm filled with shit, if you will, sorry, I do swear sometimes on this show, but it's the best word possible. When I'm filled with that crap, of negativity and that burden of all those negative thoughts and self-doubts, it's hard for God to move through me because my channel is clogged. And that's why the writing is so important, because we clear the channel when we write. Okay, we clear the channel. That's our responsibility. Sure, God can, in a blink of an eye, less than a blink of an eye, can heal us, can make us white as snow. But it makes God's job easier and probably more effective. I think God wants us to be empowered to help ourselves, with his help. So, we can activate God, that God life, that God spirit inside of us when we do our part in our work. And writing is one of those magical, wonderful practices that does ignite divine spirit and clears the channel for divine spirit to work through us and heal us. So write about it. Talk about it with somebody who understands. I would not tell most people the thoughts I was thinking, and I didn't have to go into detail even when I was telling Roy about it. But talking about it is another way for us to activate God's Spirit to heal us, because we're not keeping it inside. And the problem with these negative thoughts is, it seems like the best solution is to tamp it down. Like when we have negativity, with our solution usually is to go to affirm, like affirmations, and sort of affirm our way out of it. Like, I am love, I am God, God's working through me, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that is effective. And why? Because it's like taking a garbage heap, taking a garbage can that's filled with garbage and then smearing vanilla cream frosting over the top of that garbage heap and calling it a cake, okay? When it's not a cake, it's this rotting, fermenting, disgusting garbage heap, and just rotting garbage. And just because it has frosting on top doesn't mean it's a delicious cake. And that's what we do when we spread affirmations over this negative self-concept that we have, and there's other work to be done. In my programs, I teach people how to go deeper and to get that crap out, because it's not just one writing exercise. It takes more. But when we are being attacked in our minds, in that moment, we can take action to clear out and make space for God to come in and settle us down and heal us and help us be effective in our lives, just like that. So that's what I did, and I just encourage you not to try to suppress those thoughts, not to try to talk your way out of them or affirm your way out of them, but get them out. Get them out of your head onto paper, in a safe way. Don't let people see what you wrote. Keep your computer secure, or your journal secure, so people don't see it. Because if anybody picked up and saw what I wrote, they would be appalled. Really, they would be like, this girl needs to be locked up now. So, and yet the amazing things is that these thoughts are gone. Like, as soon as I list them on paper, they're gone. They don't have power over me. They're not the truth. And that's what I want to really emphasize here, is those thoughts aren't the truth. But when we keep them inside of ourselves, when we suppress them, they seem like the truth, and we believe them. And the more we believe them, the more we suppress them. And the more we suppress them, the more powerful they are. And frankly, the more truthful they become, right? Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. So the best way to become what you think about is to suppress it and keep it inside and think it over and over and over again. And that goes for good thoughts too. But frankly, for the negative stuff, you won't become what you think about if you dump it on paper, you write about it, you talk about it, and pray about it. That's the way to relieve yourself from the burden of the negativity. And so don't suppress it. What we think on grows. It seems counterintuitive. When you bring it to light, you think, oh, I'm going to be stuck with it. Then this is who I really am. And it's the exact opposite. The truth is, when you bring it to light, you expose it, you take the power of it out of it, and God can just wash it away in an instant. It's really important that you get support from people who understand this kind of thing. Again, don't talk to people who don't understand about the way you think, because they might recommend you go on medication, or you go get locked up, or you go away for a little while, or whatever. Like, people who don't understand how fluid our thoughts are and how not a big deal they are, is so long as we get them out of us, if we hold on to them, they can become a big deal. But when we're just processing emotions, as emotional eaters, we are emotional beings. I have so many emotions in a day, like so many. That's why it's so important to keep that document on my computer and pull it up whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, to get that stuff out of me. So I really want to encourage that, and that you get connected with people like people in the Heal Your Hunger community, to really be able to identify and get support from, because otherwise people won't understand. They don't, they're not looking at this stuff inside themselves, and you don't want to go there with them, because they won't understand. And then you'll feel like a pariah, like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And that'll compound you're feeling bad, but when you talk about this stuff, in our Heal Your Hunger community, we laugh. We have Sunday night calls, together, group calls from people, emotional eaters from around the world, and we laugh about this stuff, about the crazy thoughts we have between our ears, and it's fun, and it's out in the open, and it's just like natural and funny. And if we don't take this stuff seriously, and when we have a solution to overcome it, then it's actually comical. Like, the way we think is comical. I mean, the things I was saying to myself about myself are comical in light of my accomplishments, in light of, the life I'm living, which is an amazing life. So super great to connect with people who understand and care and have the same kind of thoughts and are working to overcome them, because then we can actually, lighten up and actually laugh at how out there our minds can be. And I also want to just talk about where this stuff comes from, okay? Because when I have said, the stuff inside of us doesn't mean anything, like our thoughts aren't to be taken so seriously. I really believe that, because oftentimes, like I talked to you about my own barrage of negative talk, it came from stress. Okay, it came from a compounding of stress, and our crazy thinking, our negative thoughts, our rants about ourselves, our self-sabotaging thoughts, they come oftentimes as a symptom of stress. Okay, and that's why they aren't to be taken seriously. They're just, it's like we gotta offload the stress somehow, and sometimes negative thinking is our outlet. Sometimes sort of it's a projection of the negativity or the fear that we feel inside of ourselves. So oftentimes it's literally just a symptom of stress, and it literally means nothing. It's just like we're anxious, we're afraid, and we just sort of off-put this negativity. We've got this going through us, just as sort of a coping mechanism, okay? Some other reasons why we might have this negative thinking, sometimes it's something we need to look at. Sometimes our constant obsession about something is pointing us in the direction of something we need to take a look at. Whatever, I heard this this weekend, whatever haunts you wants you. Okay, if you're haunted by a thought over and over, write about it, see if there's something there for you, some change you need to make in your life. If something repeatedly comes up, that could be an indication that, you've got some work to do, or you've got some changes you need to make. And so that's oftentimes, again, the thoughts themselves might not mean anything, but they might have a clue within them that could indicate some changes we need to make. And so that's good. Again, the writing, the talking, the praying, that will help you get to the bottom of it. Another reason we might have these negative thoughts are, if you've ever been on a winning streak or things are going well, and then you have this total barrage of negativity, that can often be because you're course correcting. Okay, you have you're doing really great. Have you ever experienced that? Like, you're doing so good, and then all of a sudden things go bad. Well, that has to do oftentimes with just course correcting. It's not necessarily that you're sabotaging yourself. I mean, that could be part of it, but you're also creating a new set point within yourself. And I find that, as I'm up-leveling my life and my thought life, sometimes I can have that setback of thinking, And I can get afraid by that, like, oh no, I've just totally screwed myself. I just washed away all the good stuff that was happening. But that's not always true. Sometimes it's just a course correction. It's like I'm just you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or whatever. But don't get stuck there. Don't get afraid by that. Just keep going forward, because sometimes you're just course correcting so you can get more comfortable with a new set point of good. And so again, don't take it too seriously. And the last reason why we might have this barrage of negativity could be simply detoxing. You could simply be, again, as you're up-leveling your life, as you're working on yourself, as you're progressing in your life, old stuff might come up. Good feelings, I believe, can detox us. I had this experience about 3 months ago where, wow, I felt so good. I had an amazing experience and had new feelings coming through me and lots of joy, so much joy. And then after that, I had this barrage of negativity and anger, and I was like, what is happening to me? Like, I feel so good on the one hand, and I feel completely crazy and angry on the other hand. I'm like, where is this anger coming from? But what I realized is that the joy, that new level of joy, that again, that new set point, that new experience of up-leveled feelings was actually that heightened consciousness, that higher frequency of vibration was literally detoxing me. And the anger, the stuff, the pockets of negative feelings and negative memories and hurts and things inside of me that were still there that I hadn't uncovered, they were like flowing out of me as if being pushed out, sort of pus being pushed out of the wound. That joy was detoxing that pus out of me, that pus of anger and distress, that needed to come out. So I wrote about it. Like I kept that document open, and every time I had that rash of anger and negativity, I dumped it on paper. Again, I wrote about it, talked about it, prayed about it, and boom, it was gone. So these are the 4 things to think about when you are having that attack. One is a symptom of stress. You're doing too much. You're trying to be all things to all people, or you've taken on too much, so you're stressed out, and this is sort of the outgrowth of that. This is a symptom of that, just somewhere for your being to put, just some way to put that stress somewhere. So that's one thing. The second thing is, if whatever haunts you wants you, it's begging for your attention. Is there something you're perseverating on that you can take a look at? 3 is your course correcting. You're up leveling, and as you do, you're doing that little dance where you're up leveling and then you're pulling back. But all you're doing is you're just sort of course correcting, working your way up to a new set point of good, and that's a wonderful thing. So don't be alarmed. Again, write about it, talk about it, pray about it, and keep on moving. And the 4th thing is detoxing. If you've been feeling good for a while and then you have this seeming setback of negativity, it could be that you're literally the good feelings are detoxing the bad feelings out of you. So write about it, talk about it, pray about it. Keep doing the work. So important. And of course, get connected. Don't do this stuff alone. Join us in the Heal Your Hunger community. We'd love to have you. 10 Weeks to Freedom from Emotional Eating is certainly a process of really uncovering, discovering, and discarding the stuff inside of us that holds us back from that beautiful experience of grace. And the upshot is that your relationship with food will be completely improved when you go through this process, completely improved. This is the real stuff, my friends. This is the stuff that will heal you and your relationship with food when you are absolutely, doing this work, getting support, and not taking yourself too seriously. Thank God I didn't take literally the thoughts that I was having seriously. I can't even remember half of them. Sometimes I'll go back and read my writing, but sometimes I don't even bother. I just I'm not going to look at all the pieces of garbage that I threw out. Why? Just take the trash to the dumpster. Just take it out and move on with your life. Put in a new trash bag and keep living your life. So anyway, I hope this helps. I just want so much for you to have this experience. So powerful and so simple. It's so simple, but make sure you don't do this alone. Have understanding people in your life who can help you not take yourself too seriously, because you might get alarmed by the things that you write. You might not, be used to just laying it out there in the open. And I just encourage you to have people in your life who understand this stuff, who understand that's not who you really are, and can remind you that that's not who you really are. It's just, you're just getting it out of you, out of you. And as overeaters, we are overthinkers. We're overthinkers. We have an abundance of thoughts, usually, veering toward the negative, and none of it's to be taken too seriously. But you do need to deal with it, or it will deal with you in the form of eating and binging. So I hope that helps. Again, jump over to the tribe, the Heal Your Hunger tribe, and share how you experienced, some of this stuff and what you've done, some of the writing you might have done, and how it helped you. Love to have you have a personal experience of what I'm talking about here. And I would love to support you in that. So thanks so much. Love you so much. I appreciate your being here today. And I'll see you in the next show. Take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.